Hey there boys and girls, Lucky here and welcome back to another CSGO video. Today with the second episode of getting early AWP picks with the AWP right here on Dust 2. This is basically like an entry frag tutorial for AWPers and I'd say let's get right into it. So as I said before, it really all depends on the spawn that you have. The better the spawn, the better you are for getting an early pick with the AWP. If you got a bad spawn, you should not go for it. So SAT, we are actually able to spawn right here, which is the best spawn for trying to pick mid. So what we usually do, we pick a position like this, or maybe over here, and then we just try to get a pick. Usually, again, it depends kind of on you and your reaction time, but most of the time you're not able to kind of pick right in between here. So the safest way is to kind of aim, if you crouch down at the bottom part of this truck right here and go to the left of this kind of knot or bolt, and then aim right between the metal bar and the bolt, kind of right here, and fire. What this will do is we'll catch the guys who are just running straight over in the back, and also the guys who are jumping over. So as soon as you're seeing a guy in mid right here, just start to fire and then fall back, because we're picking this side or this side right here because we can easily fall back behind cover. Of course, if the guy is kind of running up towards the doors and crossing right here, you're aiming up way too high, so you kind of have to flick down and you most likely will not get him. But this is usually the safest way because people tend to just kind of run over or jump over as fast as possible, so you really should try to use this one. Now let's actually talk about B right here. So this guy has the best B spawn. Let's say we are him. What we of course are doing, we are rushing towards B into tunnels, and there are two ways that you can do this. One of them would be just kind of posting yourself up right here, or maybe even down right here in lower tunnels, because if CTs are trying to rush here, they usually want to smoke this off right here, so it will take some time until the smoke blooms and they can go in here. However, I would not recommend this angle, and I would just advise a rifler to hold right here and try to catch the guy off guard if he's trying to rush. If you're an AWPer, there's a better pick for you. You want to go in here, and then you kind of want to get the pick right above this barrel. Just kind of hold like this. Usually CTs will pop up there and you get an easy kill. However, most of the time, they will also smoke it. Okay, I kind of fucked up the smoke. Will smoke it. So you just have to hold the angle like this, then you wait like 1-2 seconds, and then you just kind of shoot. And usually this will still get a kill because people, even if they smoked it, they will kind of hold this position, then they will wait for the smoke to fade away and try to get a pick on you. And this is, once again, not a good thing to do because you'll be prepared and you'll be able to actually get a kill on the guy who's holding behind barrel. And if you haven't seen anyone, no smoke, no guy, you can of course kind of check this, and then check this, and kind of slowly move around and try to check the corners. But be aware, since the AWP nerf, you're moving very slow while in scope. So having kind of to check like this is usually a better thing to do, and kind of try to check the corners like that. Now let's talk about A side and what you can do there. So once again, if we have a good spawn, and again, it depends all the spawns, let's say would be spawning right here, you got a good spawn towards A. So you're just running towards long right here. This once again is the best thing that you can do. And then you get your AWP out and you're trying to aim for long corner. However, be aware, if the CT has the best CT spawn, he will be there before you are. However, you never know if he has the best spawn or not. So if you got the best spawn, in my opinion, it's always worth trying to go for a pick and trying to just fire quickly, pre-fire, and then go back to your normal position and try to get some info and stuff like that, because this is a good thing to do. Now another thing that you can also do is you can go right here towards short and kind of try to get a pick right here. This is very risky because if the CT is still on this side and he's crossing, you will get him. However, if the CT is already on this side, he'll be posted up like this and waiting for you to peek, or right here. So you'll usually get picks. So once again, this is a pick that I would not recommend unless you got some very good, no, just kidding, just some very good info or something like that. But yeah, this is basically the T side that you want to do. Now let's talk about the CT side. So here we are on the CT side. So the spawns on the CT side are not as widespread as on the T side. So if you got a spawn like this guy or this guy, I would still recommend for you to, as I said before, just go straight to long and go around this corner, get your AWP out, and try to pick the guy who's holding right here. Of course, sometimes, for example, JW does this. He uses like an AHE and kind of uses it to kind of block himself and then try to like fire right here and get a pick. This is something that you can do, but usually if you got a best spawn, you gotta be here before the T's are, so just post up right here, wait, fire, and then retreat back to a better corner. Now, another thing that you can also do is if you got a teammate right here and he's boosting you up short, like this, you can then run around right here and try to get an early pick on the guy who's usually kind of picking right here or coming out of suicide, or if the terrorists have decided to rush right here on Cat. However, you gotta be aware of rushing Ts because they might be actually to spot you, so you gotta be kind of hidden and crouched down, so it's kind of hard to do this. So just go right here, be quick, and if no one's coming, retreat immediately because the Ts will be able to kill you from there. Now, another thing that I forgot that you can do is if you're holding short the normal way, just jump onto the box and onto the side and use the sledge right here. And this is also a very common thing to do. What you're doing right here is basically you're holding in between this pipe, I guess, and the wall, and you're kind of giving yourself a little bit more cover. However, this is a known spot, so be aware of getting pre-fired. But what you can usually do is kind of just fire right here and then just drop down right here immediately, or just kind of take a step to the side and crouch down and hope that they won't see you and think that you kind of actually fallen down, and then you can kind of go for a re-peek fire and then you actually drop down. So that's another thing that you can do. Now let's talk about peeking mid. So the actual only way to properly peek mid from my point of view is if you're all the way down right here and just try to pick like here, but only if one of your teammates jumped over across already so that you were able to hear the enemy fire, because then you can just kind of post up and wait for him to peek. Otherwise, the enemy will usually get you, because since the AWP update, the AWP nerf, you're kind of too slow to peek mid doors properly. So of course you can also go for wall bangs. So if you're kind of right here in the corner, one thing that you can do is, if you have this rectangle, just aim at the middle of this one and fire. And as we can see, a little too low, aim up a little higher, but you'll get the guy who's holding right here at the corner. So just aim at the upper one right here. See him, we get the guy who's holding back there. Another thing is also if you just go to the left, right on this metal bar, just fire once again, and you get a guy who's usually holding in mid. Now, of course, at some point you'll have to cross. Just holding this side is very risky most of the time and doesn't yield very good results. So as soon as you cross, you can also go up towards this truck. Be wary, however, of T's pushing right here, and then just fire at this little triangle-ish thing all the way in the corner. And this will get the guy who's holding all the way up here. Once again, just fire a little lower if the guy's crouching. It all depends on kind of the info that you're having. But it's usually what you do in mid. If you are the B player, however, there's not really a good peek that you can do. I mean, as said before, on this spot you'll often get pre-fired. Something that I can recommend, however, is holding this one, because it offers you lots of cover. You can crouch down without exposing too much of yourself, and you can usually get a good peek. Also, you're somewhat safe from flashes, because you got this box and this box kind of protecting you. And you can also throw a flash right here, and then kind of peek with it. Just to let you guys know. Also, if you want to jump up on this wall, don't jump back here, because as you can see, we're kind of mid-air and we're kind of bouncing. Where you want to jump up is right here or right here in front, because you're kind of sticking into it immediately, which will give you accuracy as soon as you're on the wall. So holding this one is also a good thing. So this is the one I probably would recommend to kind of fire and fall down, or this angle, and then wait for the T's to push out. Of course, holding B with an AWP by yourself is kind of hard. Often you have guys kind of playing back here at plat, which is a good spot to play, but once again you can be wallbanged through here. So make sure that you're very kind of defensive on B. Sometimes even just if you have a good mid guy holding from window and playing B for retake, but of course B is not as easy to retake, so yeah, kind of hard to do on B, getting an early pick with the AWP. But these were my AWP tips or picks or early entry frags with the AWP on Dust 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you did in the comment section down below. But I think it's pretty all for now, and LuckySkillFaker out.